Hey y'all, hey, so I'm back with another video. So I today I started watching the show The Pitt on HBO Max maybe like 2 months ago. I had seen it go by, but I'm not really into like medical dramas or anything, but a lot of people at my job were, talking about it. So I'm like, okay, let me go and watch the show. And I actually really like it. So I decided I would talk about not I mean, we're gonna talk about the show in a way, but if you guys do not know, if you're not a subscriber, I do live here in Pittsburgh. Now, to be fair, I have lived here a very long time. I moved here when I was in middle school. I'm originally from New York City, but I didn't move here when I was in middle school, so I went to school here. Um, I had my baby here. So like I feel like I can give maybe a little bit more context to the show in general, the layout of the city, just some different things that may be missing, that obviously we can't really get into in the depths of the show. And then I'll also talk about some of the things that I think is pretty accurate from what I see. Obviously not from a medical standpoint, but just from an overall, like, is this the vibe of the city and the people? So we're just gonna kind of go through a few things, right? So first, I want to start off again with talking about the layout. So the show The Pit is a show about an emergency room that is located, as we're going to talk about here, over here in the north side of Pittsburgh, okay? And it's about pretty much the staff that's there underneath Dr. Robbie. So again, let's start off with talking about location. So I have the map of Pittsburgh up, as you can see. So everything that's, kind of outlined is Pittsburgh. But to be quite honest, just like a lot of other cities, if you scroll like out, like all of this, most people's gonna consider Pittsburgh for the most part. But if you live here, like I said, you scroll in, this is really kind of like the outline of the actual city. Now, let's talk about the actual hospital. Now, before it was ever even confirmed what hospital they were talking about, from the very first episode, from where it was to the way that they described it, I said, oh, they're Allegheny General Hospital. Now, we're gonna talk about in this video too UPMC versus Allegheny General Hospital. And we're going to talk about that whole conglomerate battle, which it's really not a battle. It's really just like UPMC is a monopoly here. But anyway, we'll get into that in a little bit. But so specifically, they are talking about Allegheny General Hospital. Now, Allegheny General Hospital is, again, going to be located here on the north side. We more so call it, like, right here is more considered like the North Shore, more so because it's kind of, like right here along the shore. But again, it's pretty much located like somewhere like around here. So when you're watching like the opening scene of him going across the bridge, he's normally going across this bridge right here. That's going to take him to the hospital that's like somewhere around here. So just to kind of give, again, like just some context to some things. So again, the hospital is on the north side. Now, the north side, let's talk about that a little bit. So, again, like I said, most people call it the North Shore. On this side of town, you have pretty much like all of the stadium slash fields. So you have Heinz Field. I know it's not called that anymore. I don't know what the new name is, but that's where the Steelers play. And then you have PNC Field, which is somewhere right around here as well. That's where the Pirates play. You also, if you go in a little bit somewhere around here, you're going to have the Three Rivers Casino. So between the two daggone parks, right, between the PNC Park, Heinz Field, and then the casino that's like over here, it's just a whole bunch of stuff pretty much to do like right here in this area. I think the community college too, one of the community colleges is also like right here as well. So the hospital is really like set where there's just like a whole bunch of shit really that be going on right around in this area. And I do think it's one of the only hospitals that's right here. I don't know, I have to look that up and see, but I do think it's one of the only hospitals that's like this close to like this area. So we can keep going about some other different things, but one of my main issues with this show, and I know that this is not like their fault, But I feel like now that it's a successful show, they should easily be able to do this. They need to get a partnership with the Steelers and with the Pirates so that they can mention them and that, you know, they can show people in their merch. Because to me, the number one thing that's missing from this show is there's no talk about the Steelers. There's no talk about any type of sport at all. And the hospital is literally located less than 2 minutes from a football stadium and from a baseball field. Now, again, I understand from like legal standpoints, probably, you know, why they couldn't do that. But I feel like this show has won all of these damn awards. I think they should be able to get a partnership with these people so that they can mention them. Because again, that's one of my biggest things is a lot of the people that that hospital would get is going to be people that's like was either at the game or at one of the games or just within like that whole area right there. So again, the North Shore, like I said, specifically right here where they are, all that shit going on. Now, to be quite honest, there's so many shots that you see of Dr. Robbie kind of like standing on a roof and he's looking like, you know, outward. Now, when he's standing on his roof, he's looking towards this way, right? That's why you see like the water and the bridges and then, you know, the city that's like has really like this is like the tallest buildings in the damn city is right here because that's the prettiest view. So, you know, kind of like you see right here, that's going to be the prettiest view that you get. However, if Dr. Robbie was to turn his ass around and look at right here, if you look in like a lot of the beginning scenes, when he's outside, you do see that there's like a lot of like colonial houses, and that's accurate. I can tell that they actually filmed there because yes, in the very front part of like again the north side, there is a lot of different like colonial style houses. However, those houses are in and those houses are extremely expensive to live in. But once you kind of get past that, so to be quite honest, once you get past like the touristy shit, which like I said is the casino that's over here and the two stadiums and all that stuff, it gets real desolate over here on the north side. One thing I always say, and this is no disrespect to people on the north side, but I always say that I feel like the north side is kind of like stuck in time. I can accurate. My sister currently lives on the north side. I always feel like it's like somebody like took a ray gun and just shot it all over the north side, and it just like kind of stood still. When you go to the grocery stores over there, it is very stuck in time. It's also probably not the most like wealthiest part of Pittsburgh, I would say. It's more so on the, especially like once you get right outside of the stadium, the projects is literally like, oh, yeah. The hospital is like over here. The projects is literally right here. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, that's the North Shore. That's the north side for you, okay? Then you have downtown, which is gonna be right here. Again, that's why I think that probably was the best setup for the show because between it being right by the stadiums and then also right by downtown, you're gonna get, you know, I'm pretty sure they do get a lot of fucking people there. But then you have the east side right here. Okay, now in the show we have a bunch of student doctors or people that are residents, right? Which I'm like, okay, awesome, great, right? Because I think that's a good representative of all of the damn colleges. I don't think people realize how many damn colleges there is in like a very, very small freaking amount of land out here. So we're going to start here, right? I'm not going to zoom into every single thing, but me, I graduated and went to Duquesne University, which is going to be right around here. So you got Duquesne University, that's right here. Then you have Point Park University, which is going to be right here, which is representative of the point. Then there's like all of these other like little small technical schools that are in between there. So then you kind of leave out of here past not past the Hill District, but you go through here and then you're going to end up in Oakland. Oakland is going to be where the University of Pittsburgh is. So the University of Pittsburgh is like right here. Then you go a little bit up more the street and then you're going to have Carnegie Mellon University. If you back it up a little bit more, you got Carlow University. That's right here. And then you also got, I can't think. What is that other? There's another school that's in between Oakland and Squirrel Hill. I can't think of it. I think it starts with an S. But yeah, there are a shitload of schools, and I'm not exaggerating. Point Park is here, and all of those schools literally is from this point right here to about like right here. From here to here, it's like 70,000 freaking schools, right? So I love the fact that obviously, every place has residents, but I think that's a good representative of all of these damn college students. Again, me being one of them at the time. Also, something else that we'll get into later, like I said, the UPMC of it all. Oakland, outside of being the heart of like where like the University of Pittsburgh is and Carnegie Mellon and all the other damn schools. UPMC, which is the bitch. What does UPMC, bitch? What do I don't even know what UPMC actually stands for. What is it? Is the University? I feel like it's like the University of Pittsburgh Health something. Yep, University of Pittsburgh Medical Center. There we go. That is the monopoly out here. So Allegheny, so the Pitt, the hospital that it's in, again, is to me representing Allegheny General. Allegheny General is part of the Allegheny Health Network, which is one of like the two, I would say, like big medical providers and hospitals out here. But the one that really reigns supreme is UPMC. UPMC, I guess we could just get into that now. UPMC has such a monopoly out here in Pittsburgh. You, for the most part, don't really have much of a choice but to really get UPMC health insurance. Now, you could go with Allegheny Health Network, but then that means, you mostly just get Allegheny General services. And to be quite honest, the Pitt does a good job of showing that they're not that great. That's why people don't really go there. Now, I can't really speak to Allegheny General, the hospital. I've only been there one time. And the crazy part is I actually did go during COVID. And they had that thing so locked down. It was locked down central. I had a family member that actually was in Allegheny General. She was going through like this like real rare ass disease that she had, and we was going up there to try to figure out what exactly was going on. And honestly, one of the big things at the time was that some people in the family wanted to get her moved from Allegheny General to UPMC because they felt like Allegheny General was not doing a good job with making sure that she was getting better. Now, to be fair, they actually figured out what was wrong with her. They treated her, all that good stuff. But Allegheny General out here is not really seen as the best, to be quite honest. I think West Penn, which is in, I don't know, I guess you would call that like friendship part of Pittsburgh. I think that's Allegheny General as well. And my cousin, when she had her baby last year, had her baby there too. And that's, to me, that's a raggedy hospital too. Like, unfortunately, there really is no real competition between the two. Specifically, if you're talking about like the facilities, UPMC got like top of the line, like technology. They got, like I said, it's always like new people coming there because obviously it's like a school. So you always got like new residents, new doctors. Yeah, they're really that girl out here. So the show is interesting because it's like in our reality, it really is just like this tiny little network of hospitals trying to like fight this conglomerate, like this legit conglomerate out here. It's insane to me. But yeah, so all of the UPMC hospitals, I mean, they're all over Pittsburgh, but a lot of them are like located, specifically right here. And again, you got a lot of college students pretty much that live all right here. So I'm pretty sure even the people that work right there on the Pitt, all of them college students, they either went to Pitt. Yeah, they probably went to Pitt 9 times out of 10. And if they didn't go to Pitt, they definitely live somewhere within here because all the college students live either in Oakland, where all of the schools are, can't really afford Shady Side. Shady Side is way too expensive, or they live on what we're gonna get to next, which is the South Side. So the South Side of Pittsburgh. So as somebody that went to Duquesne University, most people, if you didn't live on campus, you lived in the South Side. And again, if you don't live in Oakland, you probably live on the South Side. This is another very, 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 very heavily college dense freaking place. There are nothing but bars and clubs and bars and clubs and bars and clubs all up and down this whole little strip right here. East Carson being the main one. So I'm pretty sure that Allegheny General probably gets a decent amount of people from here as well. Although there's UPMC Mercy that's right here. So that is, I forgot UPMC Mercy is actually right here. So that probably would be the closest to them. But yeah, oh, also didn't speak about the strip district. That's probably, the hospital will probably get a lot of people from here too. So the strip district is a combination of things. It's a really, really touristy ass place, to be quite honest. It's a lot of like shops and stuff. I shop there for like my meat, cause they have like a good meat market that's down there. So it's a lot of like Stillers merch again, meat market, fish markets, but there's also like a few and there's like restaurants and stuff, but there's also like a few clubs that's down here as well. So yeah, they probably get a decent amount of people that come from the strip district as well. But again, a lot of college students like the party over here on the south side, so it gets interesting over here. And then you have the west side, which I was just saying to somebody, I don't really know. I don't really know Mount Washington. You gotta have money. I ain't saying all of this side you have to have money, but it's just very white suburban. I guess that's the best way to say it. The west side is very like suburban, very suburban. That's mostly what it is. And as far as the makeup, uh, ethnicity wise with the city, I would say, oh, I don't know why. I talked about the poverty of the north side, but nobody else. So the east side, like I said, it's a lot of college students. So for the most part, everybody broke over here. But once you kind of get to like over here, it's more like it's a mix. It's a mix. If you live in Shady Side, you probably got a little bit of money. If you live in East Liberty, yeah, you yeah, in the middle. Highland Park, you got a little bit of money. Lawrenceville, a little bit of money. The Hill District is the hood for the most part. Greenfield, shout out to over there. I lived over there. That's real white suburban. Like I said, Mount Washington is where you can like kind of like a peak where you can kind of overlook the city. If you live in Mount Washington, you for sure got bank, and it's just because of the view. Like this right here would be a view if you lived in Mount Washington, like that. Um, Beach View is I think middle of the road. Carrick, I believe, is the hood. Um, McKees Rocks definitely black as hell. Um, Craft and Green Tree is more suburban. So yeah, so that's kind of that. I would say the ethnic makeup of this city, I would say definitely mostly white, obviously. But I would say it's a mix of white, black, Indian. And when I mean Indian, I literally mean like from like Mumbai, India, like that type. Indian, Asian. I know I'm going through everybody, but I'm saying this in order of like how many people pretty much to me. And then I feel like the west side is a real big like Hispanic population, I feel like on the west side. But so I feel like with the show, I feel like the ethnic makeup, it was pretty on point for the most part. I think they did a good job. Um, yeah, I would say that. But I will also say too that another good thing with the Pitt that I think it's good that it's pointing out is that most people when they hear Pittsburgh they think of obviously the Steelers and a football town. Again, that's not a joke. That's again why I said you guys can't go forward and not bring up football. They literally wrap newborns in terrible towels when they're born out here. This is not a joke. Like they are serious about the Steelers. I'm serious. Anyway, I think it's great that they're talking about, again, outside of it being a big sports city, that it's a really, really, really big like medical hub. And I think most people, if you don't know, I guess a lot about Pittsburgh wouldn't know that. But yeah, like I said, between UPMC and Allegheny General and all of the daggone nursing homes, which they got that right on the show too. Like it's a very, very, very big medical place. Everyone, and I am not exaggerating when I say this, everyone works in a medical field out here. It don't matter. I'm not it everybody does. Everybody is a nurse. That is not an exaggeration either. Everybody. That's what they did get right. Everybody, everybody. Black, white, Asian, everybody out here is a nurse. Because there's so many, obviously, with all of the medical places, the jobs are plentiful. You make decent money. And a lot of times, like, especially like a lot of like single mothers, to be quite honest, you don't got to go to school for a very, very long time. You can kind of go to school, do what you need to do, and then hop in and make a decent amount of money. That's what my mama did when she came out here. And my mom has worked as a nurse since we moved out here, and she still does. So yeah, I'm trying to think. Everybody except maybe, I'm thinking about all my friends. I think everybody except, I think maybe one person that I'm friends with, let's say out of five, only one of them doesn't work in the medical field. The rest of them either work for, like I said, UPMC. I have one friend that works for Allegheny General. That's just what it is. Medical field is out here. Even if you're not necessarily like a nurse, you work in the hospital some way, whether it's being a transporter, whether it's being on cleanup, whether it's health insurance, on the phone, customer service. Yeah, it got it locked out here. So love that part of it. So yeah, so that's kind of like the makeup, pretty much of the city. So something else, let me see here because I have some notes here that I wanted to touch on. So love how they talk about, or how it's very much shown throughout the show, that this is a very gray ass city. It rains here so much. I'm so much. I feel like it has to rain here more than it does Seattle. I think I read somewhere that it does. It's always going to rain here. 24/7, 365. It's raining currently. I don't understand why that is, but it definitely rains here all the daggone time. For sure, for sure. Um, I would say, as far as the patients are concerned, do they, I feel like, represent how the people of the city act? I would say, and again, maybe this is just me again because I did come out here a little bit later. I feel like the average person, the majority of the people walking around Pittsburgh, I really think they're actually pretty friendly. It was one of the weirdest things about moving from New York to here, is how friendly people are, because you're coming from New York where nobody speaks to anybody in New York. We do not say hi. None of that. You say hi to me, but you really must want a problem. So moving out here when everybody's just so like kind, like although this is not the South, it's very Southern hospitality here. So I will say that I think the show did kind of dramatize a little bit, like how maybe mean people can be here. Most people here are pretty freaking friendly, even at, and the thing about it is, like I'm saying, it's mostly, especially at like the hospital and the doctor, most people are pretty nice because most people either work in the hospital or the doctors, or their wife or their daughter or their son, or they work there as well. So I think that's probably why. I think there's just an understanding that we all just here trying to do a job, and 9 times out of 10 you work for UPMC, or you work for Allegheny, or you work for some type of medical, place. That's not to say that there's not people that get, crazy, but I do think that's a little bit over dramatized, is how mean people can be. Again, people can definitely be mean out here. That's not a lie. But I think from a medical standpoint, uh it's not as bad, I think, as maybe it portrayed it to be. Um let's see what else that we have. I do think what they did get right about that white man that kept coming around there is, I do think that, not all, but a lot of the white men around here are very fucking entitled. I want to be clear, although Pittsburgh is like more of a, like, I guess you would say, liberal city, like, know that, like, once you get outside of, I mean, honestly, even within these red lines, but once you get a little bit outside of these red lines, baby, it is Trump City. All it is, Trump City. It's all Trump land. So, like, there's definitely that white man that came in there and punched what's the name in the face. Yeah, yeah. That man is definitely walking around Pittsburgh for sure. He's definitely, and his demeanor and stuff is exactly how the white men, some of the white men out here be. That act like that. Yeah, that that was right on target. Also, the whole situation with the mom and the daughter of season one, when there was the big thing about, her being pregnant, and the mom pretty much being like, well, she's not gonna take it or whatever. Now, again, I'm not saying that does not happen, but I will say that Pittsburgh ain't a real big, like, religious ass city. Not at all. I mean, you got people. I mean, obviously people go to church, but it's not a heavily religious city. Squirrel Hill, which is like more so like right here, this area is a very heavily like Jewish populated area. It's the same area that shooting happened with the mosque a few years ago. But outside of that, like, Pittsburgh ain't a real, like, religious ass city. So, not to say again that stuff like that does not happen. But if it was something like that, it's definitely gonna be a more one-off than the average type of situation. This is not a Bible Belt ass town where everybody's like walking around Bible thumping. Not at all. This ain't that, and this and that ain't this. It is also, I would say, they did a good job of like highlighting that it's a very like blue collar town. That's a fact. Everybody for the most part goes to work and does their damn job and goes to home. That's for the most part how everybody here is. It's not really a flashy ass town. To be quite honest, there ain't really nothing to do here, to be quite honest. Like I said, you could go to the movies, go bowling, go out to eat, maybe. But that's you about limited to that. There ain't really much to do. I saw something of I Show Speed, the streamer. He was out here a few months ago, and he was walking around downtown Pittsburgh like, what is there to do? And I'm like, everybody in the chat is like, if you want something to do, you be in downtown Pittsburgh is not the place to go. Just be very clear. If you want something to do when you coming out here to visit, there is nothing to do downtown Pittsburgh. The only time there's something to do is like light up night when they light up the tree, and if they're having like some specific festival. Other than that, there ain't shit to do downtown. But in general, like I said, it's not a really fancy place. It's not New York. Hell, it ain't. It damn sure ain't New York. But it's not even Philly. Not to shit on them. It's a very, I feel like, family friendly ass town. I feel like if you wanna come somewhere and just like settle down with like and get like a dog, like two dogs and a white fence, like, yeah, I feel like this is a okay place to come. I feel like as far as the economic situation of it all, I feel like this is one of the more affordable cities in America, which is why the fuck I'm still here. Hello. The only reason I'm still here is because of the affordability. Now, again, it's going to depend on where you live, obviously. Like I said, depending on certain areas, some areas are more higher than others. But for the most part, it's a pretty affordable city. It's definitely starting to not get there. I don't know why, not like y'all adding anything around this bitch. But I would say it's definitely more affordable than probably like your average city. You're put it like this, you can definitely find like a 3 or 4 bedroom like house to rent for like under 2 stacks. Easy. Easy. $1,500 a month here for a house to rent, you're definitely gonna get you like 3 bedrooms at the bare minimum in a yard. Like that type of affordability. You get what I'm saying? Now you might not necessarily be like right here within like the red framing, but like go like right here, right here, right here, right here, right here on like the little outskirts of it. Yeah. Pretty good. And honestly, even like within here, around here, around honestly, all around here, you're gonna find real affordable ass places. So it's definitely a place that you can kind of be comfortable. Once you kind of if you're making a decent amount of money out here. You know what I'm saying? So what else we got here? I wanted to touch on. Outside of the Stillers thing, another big issue that I had with this show that was not covered is everybody knows everybody here. Ain't no way that Robbie's stepson wouldn't have known more than one person in that ER. I'm talking about like outside of like, him coming to visit. And no way that nobody didn't know that is not related to or didn't go to high school or college with like Robbie's ex-wife or something like that. That's another thing about Pittsburgh. When I moved here, that was very clear. And the longer I'm here, it's more clear. Outside of, like I said, like kind of like the college, area where people are. Everybody knows everybody. This is not a joke. This should be so scary. It's like, what do they call it? You know how they be like, oh, the seven degrees of separation. No, it is no 7 degrees. It is either none at all or one. I promise you that this is not an exaggeration. Everybody knows everybody. Either again, you went to school with somebody that knows somebody, you are cousins. A lot of people out here are related to. That's another thing too. Pittsburgh is a very, very, very small city in the sense of everybody is related. Again, okay? Everybody is married into a family or went to this cousin. I ain't gonna put the little place that when I first moved out here that I moved to, but the little town that I moved out to, that was out here, everybody was related because everybody been living there since the freaking mid 1900s, and people having babies with like their cousins was not uncommon. I'm not putting that on all of Pittsburgh. I'm just saying in the little spot that I lived in, because everybody knows everybody. This is not a joke. So I wish that they would incorporate that more, is how connected everybody in the city is. It's absolutely ridiculous. You'll find out that your kid goes to the same school as your daggone co-worker's kid and you didn't even freaking know it. Like, it be little small shit like that. Really be small shit like that. Um I will say, I thought that the episode about the mass casualty event, that episode was amazing. Again, because this is more of a like smaller city. Not to say that that has not happened, because again, like I said, a few years ago, you had the synagogue shooting that happened in Squirrel Hill, and then honestly, right across the street from me, I'm not exaggerating. If I live here, the house is across the street, one over. This is not a few years ago. This is a while ago. But a while ago, when I lived here in Wilkinsburg, there was a really really big shooting at a birthday party where there were two masked men who kind of came over a gate and shot up and killed a whole bunch of people, like maybe shot like 9 or 10 people. That was crazy. Watching triage right side of your outside of your window, wild shit. Wild shit. So I thought that that episode was amazing. I do like that they, like I said, incorporated the fact that it was Pitt Fest, because I'm like, yeah, I think that's a good nod to, the colleges and stuff that's out here. I thought that that was a good nod to that as well. Oh, also, not only that, right here is the PPG where the Penguins play. Forgot about that too. So yeah, that's pretty much my 2 cents on just kind of giving a little bit more context on the city and the people. And so just to kind of wrap some things up. So the few things that like I said, I did like is I like the fact obviously that they're touching, more on the health field out here. I think it should be highlighted more. I do love the fact that the show is highlighting the nurses. Like I said, everybody in name mom. Everybody might not be a doctor, but everybody is damn sure a nurse. For sure, for sure. And I love that they highlighted that. I love that they highlighted how stressed out everybody like really, really, really be when it comes to this thing. Especially I love the fact that they included the fact that healthcare workers really do get like attacked all the time. Like, for example, my mom worked at Western Psych, which is the the mental health facility that's out here. Again, it's right here in Oakland. She worked there for the first 10 years of us living out here. And this is not a lie. My mom was pregnant, maybe I want to say 6 months pregnant, and called me. I'm in 12th grade. I'm on my way to the bus stop, and I get a call from my mom, and she's like, "Hey, like, are you at home?" And I'm like, "No, I'm walking to the bus stop. What's wrong?" And she was like, okay, because I was trying to call your dad, and he's not picking up." I'm like, "What's the matter?" She was like, "Well, somebody just like kicked me, like a patient just like kicked me in my stomach, or whatever, and I wasn't sure. I think I was gonna go back to work, but I don't know, maybe if I should go to like the hospital or something." I'm like, I think you should go to McGee, which is McGee Women's Hospital, which is right down the street, because she again worked at Western Psych. I'm like, I think you should go to the hospital, to the ER, to make sure you're okay. So when she came back in after getting punched in the mouth and was like, "Oh, it's fine," I'm like, "Yeah, that's valid. That happens all the bro. That happens literally all the time." So I know I said I feel like they were being over dramatic with how mean people were, which I feel like that is still true. But facts, these patients really do be putting their hands on people, and then these nurses, they just be going right back to work, because ain't nobody trying to miss a check. I know that's the fuck right. I know that's the fuck right. Um, but yeah, I loved all of that. Some of the things again that I think that they can kind of incorporate more is obviously more of the sports talk. This is a very big sports city. I also think they should probably include more of the fact that people are very connected. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody's related to somebody some way, somehow. And I also think that although I do appreciate like all of the different ethnicities, in our reality, there is a shitload of black nurses. There should have been way more black nurses on that floor. I ain't gonna hold you. There is a shitload of black nurses out here. Like, everybody's a nurse, like I said, regardless, but it is overwhelmingly black women that are nurses, especially out here. And then also, I don't want to assume about one of the characters that I think may be like a lesbian, but the point of the matter is not that I wouldn't say it's a big LGBTQ city. It's a big L city. Does that make sense? I don't know. Okay, L and the B. It's a big L and B. Very, very much so a big L and B city. There are so many lesbians in the city of Pittsburgh. So many lesbians and bisexual, but really a lot of lesbians. This is like home of the lesbians. And also shout out to Robbie's stepson being light skinned or biracial, whatever, because that's another thing too. This is definitely home of the interracial couple. It ain't nothing but interracial couples all through and through, mostly black and white, but there's so many black and white couples. There's so many freaking mixed kids around here. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but this is a really, really, really big ass interracial city. One thing people gonna do out here, one thing you gonna see is a black man and a white woman. That's fact. That's fact. That's a fact of the matter. But yeah, I don't know what this provided context to, but I hope it was helpful. Y'all get in the comments. Bye.